Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is now Thursday. I'm on time here. I don't know. I'm feeling like, hey, am I late? Something seems off. I don't know. Anyways, go into the charts here. S&P 500, not many macro catalysts or anything like that overnight. S&P 500 coming back just a little bit from yesterday, but yesterday was a pretty rangy day as well. I think based on where we're at right now that this is just a fine place to chill for a little while. Maybe until next year even. Here on the treasuries though, yesterday they just got creamed in the overnight session, right? And now this morning, bouncing back pretty hard. The 30-year is bid pretty hard, and they are having a 30-year bond auction today, which tends to be bullish on those days. But we'll see, because we've got news. We got unemployment claims today, right? Oil also coming back a little bit. They touched 73 overnight, but now they're back to 72 and 71 and a half actually. Gold and silver struggling a little bit here. Still just kind of chilling where there's a bunch of moving averages running. I don't have any of them on, but silver getting killed there actually. And copper getting hit too. So they're kind of all a little odd overnight action, I would say. Bitcoin, made a little bit of a recovery yesterday, and then it's like back down. I'm a little concerned somebody else liquidates. That's gonna really break the camel's back, right? I hate it when it does this. You can't get the tab. Okay, there we go. And the dollar. And weaker than it was yesterday, and headed on the downside. Maybe the dollar finally chills out. We need to do this like that. There we go. Maybe the dollar finally chills out. That wouldn't be a bad thing for markets, I would think. Anyways, so we've lost some profits here in our swing trade, but I think that we just let them move up and sputter out. We got 5 minutes to the unemployment claims numbers, right? U.S. continued jobless claims, looking for a reading of 1.91 million versus a previous reading of, oh no, that's continued. We want initial 220 versus a previous of 222. Now here's the thing, 220 is pretty darn low. So if the jobless claims was any lower than that, that would be significant, but I think it's probably actually unlikely. Jobless claims probably going to be more like 225, but I'm just spitballing. The big thing is still tomorrow. We've got a big CPI number, a really big CPI number coming out. Okay, so and that's basically all we got. Good morning, Joseph. Oh, what is this? Here is Bloomberg. A Bloomberg survey. What chance of a rate hike and when? And they say the Fed fund futures have steadily brought forward the date of the first hike. Yeah. So they're not going to do it here. Yeah. It is very likely to happen in June, I think. So the question here, though, is still, can the treasuries maintain this upward momentum that they have in today? They turned there a little bit. Was an awfully I feel that's an ominous turn, but I don't know. Like, I do think there's a chance that the momentum just continues up today. I'd be okay with that because the longer trajectory is that the interest rates are going to rise. It's also, it's the Europeans. It seems like it's the US that's selling them, right? So, okay, well, back to 14. The other question, I suppose, is will we get flattening or steepening again today? Well, if we're going to turn back down, well, actually, we should come back over here. CB, didn't really change from yesterday, despite the turn back. They still got some more steepening to go if they want to get back to like where we were on November 24th before Thanksgiving. So we could potentially still see both. Guess it just depends on what they feeling like. Who decides to place the trades? Well, I'm not going to do anything until the number. But I expect this number to be a pretty much a nothing burger. There's that, and then there's the bond auction today. The poll results come as Democrats prepare the nationwide push to sell voters on their policies ahead of the 2022 midterms when the party will defend its majorities. That was another bad poll for Democrats, huh? New poll finds major warning signs for Biden and fellow Democrats. Yeah, because like the last 10 polls didn't give you any of those warning signs, huh? Americans don't feel the direct payments or expanded child tax credits doled out earlier this year helped them much. Yeah, I don't feel like that either, but I just saved it in a 529. Okay, here we go. Yeah, they're pulling. Oh. 184. And Treasury's getting killed there. You're going to pause here a little bit. We'll see if they go further. There we go. Yeah, it looks like the 30-year is leading the way. That is the lowest initial jobless claims since 1969. And now we're going to see the dollar move. It's maybe a little bit of strength coming into the dollar, actually. Why did they need to change that? I don't know why, but for some reason it kind of wanted to show me the 6E more. Okay. So for now, that was all. That wasn't a ton of trade off of the news, but it was a good report, and it did move. I really wonder how the treasuries can maintain any kind of a bid, because in the longer term, because the employment situation definitely looks good. And that was kind of the main thing that was holding the Federal Reserve back from tapering. So employment looks really good. And then again, they're concerned about inflation, that CPI number coming in tomorrow. But for now they're coming back to the open price, coming back to the midpoint, which, yeah, liquidity holes and everything else is probably likely to happen. News Squawk says no signs of Omicron in initial claims. Yeah, I wouldn't expect there to be. It's only been like a week. Well, I'm willing to take some sim trades over here. There's still the pressure from the auction. The auction may still want the bonds to be high, but I don't know. How do you come into an auction today and be like, oh yeah, I really want to buy the bonds so bad? CPI tomorrow and everything? I don't know. Yeah, I'll try. I think they might hang out here for a little bit, so I'll try getting some fills on the side. One of the concerns that I would have here, or should I call it a concern? Something that we might see happen here is the media outlets seem to be picking up on that this jobless claims number was really, really low. Joe Biden, he's going to try and use that. So that could be good for stocks. Yeah, really, really low resting liquidity here at 15 in the 10-year. Well, don't know much what else to say at the moment. Looks like they're just going to kind of churn here for a bit. There's definitely a bit of a liquidity hole up here at 15, so it might be difficult for me to get my fills at 14.5. See, they kind of had to pull and still nobody's going into it. I do think, though, that we should see some spreading come in here. Okay, that's cool. That puts me, only -1? Yeah, okay, we'll be fine. It'll be fine. Ooh, we're gonna get rain changing to snow in Utah today, huh? EU agents, the Omicron cases so far appear mostly mild. Good. Excellent. Well, I got a good spot in line there at 15, if they ever decide to fill me. I'm honestly feeling a little bit nervous about it for some reason. I'm kind of thinking to myself right now, how significant should the jobless claims be? That's a really good number. I don't know. At the moment, they're kind of acting like they don't care. But I'm kind of wondering, what should they? Will it matter? I'm not sure. There's definitely a liquidity hole here at 15.14.5 though. Well, a tick down, 14. That was another, market makers didn't really want it, just kind of ticked down. But if they keep pushing down to the downside, you might get to the point where people start to really get aggressive with it. So we'll see. Especially if the 30-year starts to fall. Because if the 30-year starts to fall and it's an auction day, that can be ugly stuff, right? For now, though, we're likely... so somebody putting a little bit of size at 13.5? You missed the talking chat? I haven't really been turning it on. Yeah. But, I don't know. Because the thing is I made it so that... I'll turn it on here. Yeah. The problem was always that it would try and interrupt me. And you guys weren't using the fun features. And then when YouTube integrated, when OBS integrated YouTube's chat in there, then it was like, yeah, I'm just going to use YouTube's chat. Okay, so there's still a pretty big hole here between 15 and 14. They were able to trade into 14. Somebody decided to hold the line. 13.5. It's pushed back up. Liquidity is a little bit better now at 15. So normally it takes about 45 minutes, but they might be faster than that because the liquidity appears to be healing. But we do have some big prints up above us in the 10-year. Like that 16 could be a problem for them moving up if it decides to hold. And even if it does go, it might be like, yep, oops. Still, you can't even get 200 to hit into 15, huh? It's quite a bit more willing to trade at 14.5. Yeah. They really are having a hard time maintaining these prices. It might just take some time. I kind of feel like they're trying to make something happen and it's just not going. It's just kind of settled into the hole and the traders are not really interested in it right now. Now the S&P 500 is up a little bit now. They're like right at their resistance points. So yeah, we'll see if the S&P 500 breaks out, if that affects anything. Also, oil is kind of on the downturn still, so. Did you roll over the E? Oh, I have not. I'm not planning, I wasn't planning on rolling it over until Monday. You're putting together an outside a heated cat house? Well, I tell you what, tomorrow we got CPI, next Wednesday we got FOMC. Those are going to be pretty key data points and will basically make or break December. After that, though, yeah, I would go on vacation and not do much trading until the end of the year. We'll still be around next week, but we'll probably be doing more research. We'll see. Maybe if it's just too quiet, I will just start taking it off and just work alone. But I'm going to try and get the TensorFlow thing working. Will be my big thing. And then I've got a math book, so I got some study I can do on it. I got some projects. Not as many as before. Normally I would be like, we got to make all these videos and stuff. But yeah, I guess I can write. I guess I'll be doing some writing too. But I don't want to record many videos until the start of the year. Down tick at 14. Well, the inside is still pretty. I mean, it's 1,000 on both sides. Like they're pulling those bids. It could go either way from there because of that, but it just kind of shows you that the bids might not be as strong as they appear, just because they were hanging out up there at 14.5. And again, I'm 95th in line. I never got a fill at 15. And the 30-year is coming with it, so the yields are coming up. Mark Meadows to sue Pelosi and the January 6th committee. Good morning, Gus. Gus, you left such a lovely comment on my video the other day. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, today is when NinjaTrader is going to tell you to roll over, right? But because the CPI number is such a big deal, I think it's likely that most people continue to trade the December contract until Monday. I still can't see the pace of the roll. I was trying to fix my login, and the thing is I have like two-factor authentication turned on that account. I don't know why, it's dumb, but um, it has two-factor authentication. And so I have to try and call support to get in. But then when I call their support guy, it was like the phone just did not work. It was just cutting in and out. So I don't know what to do about it. I'll have to try calling them again maybe today. They took that 13 there a little bit quickly. I'm not going to reset it yet, but that might be a little telling. Now, 12.5 isn't really putting up a fight. So like the thing was, remember there was a little bit of a stack at 13.5 and then they moved back up. But now they come back through here and neither of those prices really put up a fight. You're a big fan. I know, I appreciate it, dude. You know, one of the things I was thinking about a little bit yesterday, because you said it was like, you know, that you don't get the attention you deserve or something like that. But I thought about it. I was like, well, yeah, but you know, first of all, my videos aren't perfect, like in terms of like production quality and keeping people's attention and everything else like that. So I think that the YouTube channel performs about how one should expect, given the size of the potential audience and the quality of the content. But then the other side of it is that I'm pretty confident that at some point this channel will grow significantly larger. And when it does, there's a pretty big library of content for people to watch. So hey, we just have to be patient on that one. And we still got like 3 big videos that I want to make, you know, and those are going to be the ones that I hope really draw people in, that people really go, oh yeah, this video was like really will change your opinion on things and you want to watch it, you know? So those are the videos that I would expect to get like word of mouth. So, well, so again, they were able to get down to that 13 was a little, but they're not really, the liquidity is not really holding on either side. There's not a lot of trade on either side. I mean, they're putting up 2,000, which is pretty light. Pretty light. Yeah, it's like trading. You gotta be patient. It takes a long time. Anyways, like the liquidity is lighter than usual. So even though I think that the downside might have some problems here, they could really push it either way, and we'd need to be prepared for either situation. Okay, so they're stacking a little bit at 14.5, trying to get some, and see, look, it doesn't go, and then 3,000 stack at 15. And I'm still 90th in line. Not like 5 contracts went into 15. I must not be the only person that wants a fill at 15. Would you do a video on Monte Carlo testing? I could, but what exactly do you want to know about it? In NinjaTrader, you do your back test, and then there's a tab where you can go in and do Monte Carlo. And what it will do is it will randomize some of the trades a little bit, and it will show you how consistent your strategy really is. But really, I have a video about performance metrics. That's really the one that you want to watch about that kind of subject. And I do talk about Monte Carlo testing just a little bit. 14 pulls. where's my, I need something to fiddle with here. I get a fidget cube. That way I can do it a little more silently. Oh man, Better.com CEO says he is deeply sorry for sacking 900 staff via a Zoom meeting. Well, I'm sure you're going to be extra sorry when, they sue you with labor laws, because you're not allowed to fire that many people at once without giving advance notice. They've been showing that one to me on TikTok. I watched the guy do that. I was like, this guy, what is wrong with this guy? What were you thinking? Oh man, so story time. So one of my daughters, she gets headaches, like really bad headaches for whatever reason, like cluster headaches. It concerns me. Like maybe there's I had a friend that she would produce too much brain fluid and it'd give her massive headaches, and she didn't want to get the surgery, so she'd just take this medication, and it made her crazy. Anyways, so she gets a headache at school and she tells the teacher, but the teacher basically ignores her and says, no, you can't call home. So my wife was very upset about that. So she went to go and talk to the teacher, and the teacher was like, don't get in my face, and stepped into her and started yelling at her. And I was like, well, probably my wife might have been a little bit too overly protective of her child, and maybe did something in her body language or whatever to get the teacher upset. But I was just so shocked that a teacher would talk to my wife like that. I was like, what the hell? So when I came out of the office this morning or yesterday, she's like, well, I'm the crazy mom now. I'm like, what? I was like, what was this teacher thinking? I'm not going to make a big deal out of it, but I'm sure that it was just two people crossing wires wrong. But man, it was just a funny, really weird really weird story to hear. Okay, I don't understand the logic of the Monte Carlo testing exactly, and wonder how much value you put on it. Okay, so here's the deal with it. You go and you do back test, okay? And you back test it over the past year, and you get certain stats. And those stats say, hey, it's pretty good. But here's the thing. When you run it in the future, that's not going to be exactly like the past was, correct? And there's some randomness to it and so forth. And so some strategies will be more consistent than others, simply because of how they manage the trade and things like that, right? So what the Monte Carlo simulation does is they kind of go back and they say, okay, what if things were just a little bit different? We change all of these little things and these entries and stuff. Does the strategy still perform well? So it's basically like you've done a back test. Monte Carlo is saying, okay, let's do a back test 1,000 times now. But since you don't have that much data to actually test with, it makes the data up, right? And the Monte Carlo simulation then will show you a distribution, and it will say, okay, here is actually your net profit across all of the Monte Carlo simulations. So then you can see, oh, okay, so it is profitable most of the time, and in 95% of the simulations, it was profitable or unprofitable. And that's where you're kind of going to get an idea of how consistent the strategy is, because what often happens is you go in and you'll do a back test and it's profitable, but then when you do the Monte Carlo simulation, you'll see that it was mostly just by chance, and that according to the Monte Carlo, 50% of the time it's a loser. Or I would also really look at the maximum drawdown, because then you can look at it and you can say, okay, this is a profitable strategy, but there are some realities where this strategy could lose $15,000 and my account's not that big. So I think that the Monte Carlo testing step is definitely one that you want to look at. And, you should work on your strategy until you're getting good results out of it. Does that answer the question? I wouldn't emphasize it too much, just because it's basically randomness to it. I think the way that the original, like the first place that I ever heard the term Monte Carlo was you have a board and you say, I'm going to put a point somewhere randomly on this board, and then I'm going to measure, I'm going to throw a bunch of darts, and I'm going to measure the distance between the dart and that point, right? And if it's within a certain radius, then I'm going to say it's within a circle, right? If it's within 3 inches from that point, then it's within the circle, and it's not. And you can keep throwing all those darts and use that to approximate what the area of the circle is. And that's kind of where that's where the term Monte Carlo comes from. Is basically you're running a simulation a bunch of times to try and approximate what that metric actually is, because in the case of a circle, it's kind of silly, but it's just an example of what you got to do to get it to approximate a metric that might be too difficult to actually approximate directly. But that was a bad explanation. I feel a little out of breath. I don't know why I feel nervous right now, but I feel a little nervous for some reason. Maybe just my medication kicking in a little bit and pushing my heart rate up. I don't know. Overall, I feel calm, but now if you could help with this cat house. Yeah, we had to build like a little house for our rabbit. Yeah, it was a pain. And I don't know, like, do I need to get a heater for the rabbit? I don't know if will it handle the freezing weather or not. The chickens seem to be fine. Chickens seem to have handled that fine, but I don't know about the rabbit. So rabbit was in the garage last year, I think. This year went by so quickly, I feel. Yeah, so they're able to make 13 go offer, but it's still stuck in the range. Like there does not appear at the moment to be like a strong move. I would say the volume has been to the sell side. The market orders have very much been to the sell side, particularly in the 10-year, but in the 30-year as well. So we'll see. When you were a kid, your rabbit froze to death. Really? Oh, I need to look into it then, I guess. I forgot about this. Another thing that's been going on is one of my birds died yesterday. I guess I'm kind of trying to forget it. It wasn't the bird it wasn't Jerry. It wasn't, it was the newer bird that we kind of didn't like because he wasn't as friendly to us. But it was still, I don't know why he died. On Saturday, I went and checked them and they didn't have water. I don't think that my son changed the water on Friday, so they were dehydrated. And maybe Kaze didn't handle it as well as Jerry did or something. I don't know, because Jerry seems fine. And I don't know what I'm going to do with them, because part of the thing was they were fine being downstairs because they were together. Now Jerry's all alone and he's almost always had a roommate. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with him. I'm worried that he's going to get lonely. You used to have a 13-foot python and you fed rabbits to? Wow, really? Jeez, Uzi. Man, I don't think regularly feeding rabbits to a python like that is not something that I would enjoy doing. Oh, my wife would not be able to handle that. At her old house, she had a mouse problem, pretty bad mouse problem, and she did not like, dealing with the mouse traps and things like that. One of the things was that she got like a live mouse trap, and that did not go well. So she didn't do that anymore. So I'm kind of watching Twitter here. Twitter is relatively light this morning. I'm kind of seeing like some of the news squawks and stuff tweeting stuff like they're getting bored. Oh, the first time my wife saw me bonk a rabbit to feed it, she freaked out. Oh, you have to knock them out. Oh, dude. when I was an LDS missionary, one of the areas that I was in, Missouri, was really out in the sticks. I mean, the closest town was like 15,000 and was like 30 minutes away. Okay, like it was out there, and there was this member that had a pallet building business. Oh man, these guys, they made so much money building pallets. And I bet you that they made real bank during the pandemic. And it's out in the sticks too. So really nice house and everything, because everything's just dirt cheap, right? Oh man, and their son was this bodybuilder. He had like, wow, one day we come over and he's just finishing his workout and coming in, so he don't have a shirt on, and a guy just full on ripped abs. He's just standing there full on ripped abs. Like usually when you see in the pictures people doing they're flexing, but this guy, he did like 2,000 crunches. It was insane. Okay, he was probably on steroids, I don't know. Anyways, and he was really good at building pallets too. So these were these members, and they had a rabbit problem. So he had gotten a 22 to take care of the rabbit problem. So we're over there one day, and they see a rabbit in their garden, and there's another member that was visiting. Just their neighbor was over, visiting the house, and he's like, "Ooh, can I do it? Can I do it?" So he's like, "Okay." So they got this scoped 22, and he shoots the rabbit. And when you shoot the rabbit, man, that thing jumped like 20 feet in the air. Holy crap. It was straight up, and then back down. And the rabbit just like hunkered down. It didn't like try to run away or anything. It just hunkered down like, oh, they can't see me. But you could see it moving. So like he didn't kill the rabbit. So then he shoots it again. And it does the same thing. Jumps up like 20 feet in the air. Right back down. And it's still not dead. So then finally the guy walks up to the rabbit. The rabbit doesn't try to run away, picks it up by the ears, and sorry, the little bit graphic if there's any kids here listening. But yeah, so they snap but then they're looking at this thing, and there's a hole through both ears. So the first time that he shot it, it went through both ears. He missed, and it went through both ears. It was so freaking hilarious. I mean, we were laughing about it. It was kind of morbid, but it was so funny. And that's my terrible rabbit story. And now we have a rabbit, and I don't think that rabbits make very good pets. At least not for kids. Not for kids. You know what else I don't think make very great pets? Hedgehogs. Not for kids. You got to be like a patient, quiet person for those animals, and that's not kids. Now, we need a puppy. We need a more active puppy, like we got Yorkies, but one of the Yorkies. I felt like he was getting really old and everything, but now I think it's just that my wife, the way that she cut the hair in his face just makes him look really old and pathetic, but he's not actually that pathetic. But he's going to go any day. By the way, quite a bit more volume trading here between 12.5 and 13 now, by the way. Still tilted to the downside somewhat, but we have an old cat that's about to go. I noticed that last night. He's like totally at the door, if you get what I mean. Yeah. Well, I'm really sad that Kaze died. Not that I really cared too much about Kaze, but just like I'm worried about Jerry now. And I'm worried that like it was because we didn't take care of them well enough or something. I suppose we could get another bird now, and maybe we'd get a better chance at getting a girl bird or getting a bird that is nicer. But I don't know, man. We can wait. We can cross that bridge when spring comes. And then I'm also kind of wondering though, like, do we really need more captive birds like that in the world? Jerry's a good bird, but I don't know if I actually want a lot of people getting birds for pets. I don't think that they're really meant to be pets. I think that humans should stick to dogs and cats. And really dogs. Dogs are meant for people. These instructions are no help. Are the instructions for the doghouse, or are you talking about how to kill a rabbit? Instructions unclear. Shot my foot. What? He was plopped on us and as adult back in 2006, 2007. He's got to be a solid 20. Oh my gosh. So when I lived in an apartment, there was this cat that the neighbors left outside a lot. And so it would always kind of come over by our house for sympathy. So my ex-wife was nice to it. And then they moved and left it. So we were taking care of it for a while, and she had to put like cat food in a milk bowl so that she could like even eat it, because that's like how old she was. But then it was getting cold, and I was like, well, we can't have a cat because we get the birds, and she's gonna freeze to death out there, so we got to take her to the shelter. So we took her to the shelter. I thought I was doing the right thing, but then they charged me to take the cat to the shelter, and everybody's just giving me these dirty looks like, we know that it's really your cat and you just don't want it anymore. No, for real, they left it. I can't keep it. What am I supposed to do? They punish me. They punish me for doing the right thing. Live Action says he wants a replacement cat. Mine scratched me yesterday and she's near the... I was told that cats just get the prey drive when you're playing with them. There's ways around that. I don't know. I kind of want a Sphinx cat, but I don't know if it's ever gonna happen. You know what I want more? I want a Pomsky. When both of these dogs that we have right now die, I think that when Mickey dies, that we'll just have the one, and Sadie will just have to be lonely. Okay, they take 12. They take 15 now. 11. So gonna start going. The 5-year still has a tick or two to get to their lows, but yeah, those buyers put up a fight, but it just, when we couldn't get a fill there at 15, that should have been kind of a clue, huh? I kind of wonder, though, if all of that action where it kept moving up there was maybe market makers or even somebody trying to make a bigger trade, trying to get more fills up here. Live Action says ditto. Only dogs. Well, I don't want to get scratched by a cat. But those other kind of cats are different. I also don't want to have to bathe it. But then if I get a Pomsky, I'll have to vacuum more. I think they're so much fun though, and they're so cute. Oh, Pomeranians are so much fun. And it's a Pomeranian Husky. How are the numbers looking? Well, now that the treasuries are moving on the downside, we're looking pretty hot. By the way, where do we got to get to yesterday's? Oh boy. Okay. Yesterday's low was 129.31. So we're gonna reset things there now that even the 5-year is pushing its lows. No way for me to know if that's all there is to the move or what they're doing, but they're definitely starting to fall precipitously. Like was just like those prices up there just could not be held. And so I don't know. Will we start to see positions unwind? Or is that it's just going to go down there and then it swings back up to the highs? This is another possibility still. Did Wall Street Bets founder ever get prosecuted for the G? No, I don't think so. I don't think anything about that ever came out in any of the investigations or anything they did off of GameStop either. That whole thing was pretty funny, I thought. Like, oh, you guys need to do an investigation because Wall Street is doing shady stuff there, and then they did the investigation, and oh, Reddit was wrong about basically everything. It was surprise, surprise. Your cat house has Velcro? Is held together by Velcro? What? Did Robinhood get prosecuted for blocking trades? Well, so it was like more complicated than that though, right? I still think that Robinhood really deserves some blame, not for cutting off the trading, but for lying about why. That's the thing that really irks me, is that if people had known that it was because of the clearinghouses and all of that stuff at the beginning, I think probably a lot less people would have tried to hold on that first day. Yeah, tomorrow's inflation numbers, big day. Yes, a very, very big day. Oh, how are the unemployment numbers? So the unemployment number was really good. Like, we were looking for 220 and we got like 180. So it's like the lowest number since the 60s or something. Overall, though, trade has been really quiet. S&P 500 has just been kind of chugging along upwards ever since, and that's probably part of why the treasuries eventually fell down. But the treasuries are kind of getting down to now like a little bit of pain. So, but blocking trades is still market, not necessarily. So I'm pretty sure that they can suspend trading in anything that they want, but especially if they don't have enough enough money to put up to pay the clearinghouses, there's nothing that they can do. It's just they lied about it. They tried to hide that they didn't have enough money. That's a problem, I feel. But go read that report. Or you know what? Patrick Boyle, is that his name? He had a good YouTube video summarizing the findings of it, where they pretty conclusively disprove a lot of the conspiracy theories that were out there. And really show that I think that people on Wall Street Bets either didn't know what they were talking about, or were just saying whatever shit they thought they needed to say to get other people to buy and hold. So how could these unemployment numbers influence the Fed? Well, I don't think that these unemployment numbers change the picture too much because we knew that employment was good. But the reason that the Federal Reserve held off on tapering asset purchases and raising rates and everything was because they wanted to get back to full employment. And if we're getting such low unemployment numbers and all that sort of a thing, that really shows that the employment is really in a good spot right now. So it just further reinforces that the Federal Reserve is likely to double the pace of the taper next week. When somebody manipulates the market like Wall Street Bets did to the SEC ban for those traders from ever trading again. So if you go and you say something online that you know to be false, then yeah, you can get prosecuted for it, and people have. There was this one guy, he had a long position in something, and he knew that the investment was turning sour, but he got on Twitter and started promoting it anyways and sold into it as all of his subscribers were buying. And they nailed him. They prosecuted him. Which reminds me, do I get my distribution yesterday? Actually, maybe I shouldn't do it from here. Well, I'll do it. I'll log in anyways. No, I still don't see it. Eric A just says, yeah, so I feel like the taper is priced in by now. If tomorrow's inflation numbers come in as expected or lower, should be bullish even with the taper. Oh, I'm not so sure about that one. So I think the issue is still think about where we were before Thanksgiving. This is where the 10-year treasury was before Thanksgiving, right? And then this big move up was because of the Omicron panic, right? So now we've pretty much determined that the Omicron is no big deal. Shouldn't the treasuries come all the way back down there? Well, they don't necessarily have to come back down there. Like, the volume has to come in. But it kind of seems to me like there are still some people fighting it. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see some more people puking off of CPI numbers and even the Federal Reserve. Another big one, I think, with the Fed meeting next week, the bigger thing is going to be like what Powell says, probably. Do you know the fastest way to import and export real-time data in Excel? LXL RTD connection is kind of slow. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. There is a for Rhythmic, there is like a direct connection into Excel that you can use. Otherwise, you can try exporting it with NinjaTrader, but that would require some work. Okay, well, the Treasury's had a pretty good move down, but they're kind of evening back out because, even though they had a good move, well, how much volume was it in the Treasury? 18 to 6. Oh, wow. So it was actually 12,000 contracts sold in the 10-year. Why not puke now? I don't know. I'm really not sure. The thing is still, though, that like what matters is the orders come, right? So is everybody short the treasury right now? I don't think that that's the case. That's when you get these kind of like fake moves that are not in line with the news, right? Everybody's short. The news comes out as they expect. There's nobody else to continue selling it, and then everybody takes their profits, and as they do so, it goes the other way, right? But I don't think that the situation is at the moment everybody's short the treasury. At least that's certainly not what I think the chart says. Could be wrong. But and there's also still this this spread between whether they flatten or not. There's also another big point, right? Wow, okay. It did do it. It just isn't showing me up in my positions for some reason. Oh, it's showing up as a different thing. So I don't know what, am I supposed to do something now? Well, I'm going to have to call them to make sure I understand what's going on. So should I open a front run these guys and run? Well, I'm long interest rates, so I guess that's all I can say on it. It's kind of that just kind of shows you it's a little difficult to say like what is priced in and not priced in, and it being priced in doesn't necessarily matter so much as like the positions that people have taken and what kind of orders are going to come out when the news happens, right? But like even here right now, like we're considerably higher than yesterday. Is there any reason for us to be so much higher than yesterday? Because I don't see it. In fact, I think you kind of got to be a little bit worried with if we're going to have a down day and on a 30-year auction, and the 30-year auction ends up being bad. If the CPI is better than expected, they don't speed up the taper. Okay, so there is one thing about the taper that's a little bit different this time, right? The median forecast right now is spot 7, right? So look at where last time they were looking for a spot 3, right? So the analysts are definitely like saw something change and are raising their estimates now. So if it comes out and it's like spot 6, okay, does that really mean like, oh, the Federal Reserve should change their taper Probably not. You would have to come out and be back at like 0.3 for that to really affect the Federal Reserve, I think. I think that the risks are much more skewed to the downside. That the CPI comes in hotter than expected and it really roils the market again. I don't know if people are taking positions on that per se, but there must be, because I mean the market has been relatively quiet. This is really the only big piece of news that we've got. But I still say that the thing that's bigger that I seem to see is that the Federal Reserve thinks that the risk from future pandemics is inflationary, and I think that the when they ask him questions in the news conference, that he's going to start saying things like that, and there's a lot of people that aren't paying attention that are going to hear that and be like, oh, right, and that's where I think you'll start to see the big move. Markets are up. Well, it's not like a big amount though, Air Cages. Can be for any number of reasons. Like that move up overnight may have just been some rebalancing, and it has absolutely no informational content whatsoever. There was no catalyst. I don't see any reason for them to have moved up the way that they did, so Major U.S. retail CEOs, including Target, CVS Health, AutoZone, Best Buy, Home Depot, urge congressional action to address anonymous online sellers who are stealing from retailers and then selling on Facebook Marketplace. Throwback to when we used some pretty crass tactics to get people to buy U.S. debt. Wait, what is this? Oh, and then it's one ad from World War II where they're trying to get people to buy war bonds. That's funny. What's your outlook for 2022? I don't know if I can look that far out, man. Well, I mean, my outlook for interest rates is that the Federal Reserve is going to double the pace of their asset purchases and then raise interest rates twice next year. That's my outlook. For the S&P 500? I don't know. That's a really complicated thing. Even if you're a really good analyst, you really understand the S&P 500. Your predictions aren't likely to come true in the S&P 500 because there's just too many unknowns in a year. Yeah. Okay, well, here's the E-mini opening up. So far, it looks slightly bullish, but Treasury is kind of pulling back here a bit again. I wouldn't say that there was like a liquidity hole down at the bottom or anything. It just kind of looks like that there's still not... I mean, don't get me wrong. Somebody sold this. Somebody took a pretty big meta order selling in the 10-year. But for whatever reason, there's just not a lot of activity in it. You got to pick a side of whether we are crashing or not. No, we don't. This is the problem with this society now. They always want the drama and the thing now. When you watch TikTok, it's always every TikTok starts with some really, you have to start with some big groundbreaking statement that catches their interest in it. And it just gets so ridiculous, I think. Especially since I see a lot of people, they're like pushing around opinions that like I think are wrong. I'm just like, okay, you go ahead and think that. Ugh. So I was thinking about it because I was thinking, I've been thinking, I have this video about, what are Bitcoin's weaknesses? And I'm like, okay, how do I make an eye-catching or an attention-grabbing open to that video? Should I be like, Bitcoin sucks? It's like dog poo. Like, how do I do that? I don't want to get into like childish insults about it, It should be something funny, right? How can a funny insult about Bitcoin? Like, I've been thinking about it the past day and it's like just not coming to me. I'm just not funny anymore, I guess. U.S. Trade Representative Tai, the U.S. has put free trade negotiations with the U.K. on hold, but continues to work closely with the U.K. on common challenges. Okay, there's the S&P 500 buying through. Okay. Well, it would be fun to see 4,700 again at the very least. Don't you think? So go against Apple. Do you think that Apple is fairly valued? I don't know. I think that Apple has gone beyond valuation now. You know what I mean? Like, it's such an integral stock to the stock market that the stock market flows overall matter more than like what Apple should actually be worth based on earnings and stuff. Same, frankly, with Tesla at this point. More than 40 camels were disqualified from Saudi Arabia's beauty pageant for receiving Botox injections and other cosmetic enhancements. What? They have a camel beauty contest and they've been using Botox on them? Okay. Huh. They traded too many calls this week to pump Apple. Seth calls market crash, right? Well, listen, I mean, we started that way, right? The first day that we streamed, Bitcoin futures were going live. People asked me what I thought about it, and I said I think there's a really good chance that today is the top, and I was right. And that was the biggest stream we ever had. That was like 3,000 people. We peaked the first day I ever streamed is what happened. I don't think even the GameStop mania was as big as that Bitcoin stream. But you know what? Because I wasn't a Bitcoin sycophant, most of those people lost interest. Bitcoin will rape you while you sleep. Here's why. What? No. I like the thing is it's not like I hate Bitcoin for like the sake of hating it. I mean, I think there's some serious problems with like the idea of a decentralized currency. But the thing that bothers me more about Bitcoin right now is that it's just objectively bad at everything right now. You can't transact with it. It's slow. It can't handle very many transactions. It doesn't have as many features. It's just like every other coin out there is better than Bitcoin in some way. And all Bitcoin has is like the marketing. And they say it's a store of value, but like one person liquidating can push the price down 10%. I don't know how reliable of a store of value that is. You know what I mean? And I think there's been a shift. Like, you go on Facebook and all of the tech people in particular, are all saying, Bitcoin's not very good. It's a solution looking for a problem, and I'm tired of hearing about it. So it's kind of like Facebook, like earlier this year, it got to the point where like literally everybody was trading Dogecoin and stuff. Like my uncle was trading Dogecoin. People that I would, he is somebody that I could see doing trading. But there's, I saw other people on my Facebook and stuff that they've never gotten involved in markets and stuff, and all of a sudden they know everything about what the future direction of Dogecoin. Are you kidding me? Right? And it was like when on Facebook, when your parents requested to be your friend, it's just like all of a sudden it wasn't cool anymore, So that's why I'm feeling like I should make a video. Like I think, hey, my opinion now is cool. People will watch me. People will watch me now because I don't think that Bitcoin is very good. So I thought it was worth a try. But how do I do it, and the thing is, the crazy thing is that like if you go and search for like Bitcoin sucks, very good competition for it. So I think we could do a good video, but we'll see. We'll see. Bitcoin hates your children. Here's why. I really do think that the current state of the cryptocurrency market is bad for society. Here was the best insult that I could come up with for Bitcoin. Okay, you ready for it? Here's my best insult. Bitcoin is so bad that I am actually looking forward to central bank digital currencies. Because then the central bank digital currencies can maybe actually do it right. And we can actually see all of the features and use cases and everything that Bitcoin has been talking about for over a decade and like has never gotten around to. That's how bad I feel Bitcoin has gotten. That's my best insult. Is that a good insult? I think that the people that are really into Bitcoin will be pretty insulted by the fact that, Bitcoin is so bad that we want the central bank digital currency. Doesn't matter if they trade garbage or not. Financial literacy is only broken when you get people interested in markets, and we can go from there. Well, I don't know. So here's the thing that I think is really interesting. So financial literacy is a different thing from understanding the markets, right? And I think that the problem is that we don't really understand markets very well. And most people that come in and trade markets don't really understand them any better. Like if you just come in and you just stare at a stock chart, then you're not going to really understand markets, because it turns out that the true nature of markets is a pretty complicated thing that requires calculus and advanced statistics to understand. So not very many people actually go and learn it. Okay, wow. S&P 500 had a little bit of an impulse up. They're not back to 4,700 yet, but and maybe they're even turning down a little bit, but so far they've been doing okay. Treasuries made another excursion down on the lows, but not like a big break below 10. So I think that they ate into 10, but they didn't trade 9.5, did they? It sounds like a dad joke. Yeah. See, it's not very funny. It's not very funny. I don't know if my entrance is like really all I've got is an eye-catching headline that will get Bitcoiners to hate me and stop watching right then and there. Bitcoin transfers have cost me way too much money. Yeah, like the whole thing about like, okay, we're offering these new services now so that you don't have to transfer your Bitcoin on the blockchain is to me is just like, do you guys not understand why that's a problem? Like, you're basically admitting that the thing you're trading sucks. Come on. I think it's hilarious. I mean, we all, like, here's the thing is everybody knows it. You all know it. Like, even if you like Bitcoin and you own some and you're a long-term holder, you know it sucks, right? Like, we all know it sucks. I say we all know it sucks, and it's time to stop pretending that it doesn't. You know? It's time to stop pretending that it doesn't suck. And just admit that the experiment of Bitcoin failed. And I suppose that they can go back and they can change things and make it suck less. Somebody could come in, like Blockstream could come in and say, okay, you know what, we've been doing things wrong and we apologize and we're going to fix it. But I really feel like with central bank digital currencies only a few years away, that it's probably too late, you know? Your Coinbase was hacked? Really? Oh, but did you use two-factor authentication? Because I think that some people got hacked even though they did have it, right? Bitcoin, CPI tomorrow. Yeah, you know what? Like, the thing that will be funny is tomorrow, CPI comes out, right? Let's say that the CPI comes out really hot, okay? And the treasuries just absolutely puke because the CPI is extra hot, right? What will Bitcoin do? Well, Bitcoin is going to say, hey, more inflation, we should buy off of that, right? But raising interest rates isn't good for Bitcoin. And this was kind of the same thing that happened that kind of led us down to where we are now. So like that last Fed meeting, I think it was, you know, Bitcoin bought up on it initially and then got smacked back down. Could happen. Could happen again. We'll see. Let's see what happens. But But I'm because I'm just trying to think of a couple of videos that I can put through before I finish my my order flow videos, because I want to, you know, I got some equipment and stuff and I want those ones to be nicer. My Gmail was hacked. I'll sue Google. No, remember there was a hack and they got access to a couple of accounts without that had something to do with the two-factor authentication, but was only certain accounts that were vulnerable to it. Now, that's not a problem with Bitcoin, that's a problem with Coinbase. I have reasons to be unhappy with Coinbase too. So when I go online, I'm on LinkedIn quite a bit. Not like I want a new job or anything, but I'm just trying to build the LinkedIn up. But I do see, like, you know, there are any kind of jobs in finance, because if a job in finance ever shows up that would be right for me, like trading from here in Utah, you know, like, I think I have some skills that could be worth a lot more than what I'm getting paid right now, right? Well, one of the things that I'm seeing is positions at Coinbase. And I look at that and I'm like, well, that's kind of down your alley, and it looks like it's local. But then I'm like, but do I want to work for Coinbase? I don't know about that. Two-factor was compromised when they took over my phone. Oh, yeah, wait. That sucks, dude. Yeah, so if you're doing two-factor authentication, don't do the kind of authentication where it sends you a text message, okay? Did you see the crypto CEOs hearing in Congress yesterday? So I saw a lot of people on TikTok reposting sections of it that they thought were favorable to cryptocurrencies. The clip that they were seeing that I was seeing the most was the guy saying that the United States is behind other countries on this sort of stuff, because other countries have been approving these sorts of financial instruments and the US has been denying it. And I'm like, oh, it's so awful that the United States actually cares about and protects consumers from fraud. Oh, yeah, I don't, like, people were trying to make a big deal out of it, but I don't really see anything in there that really is going to fundamentally change the game. I think that the issue in the cryptocurrency, who cares? You know why crypto won't go away? Who cares? Let me tell you. Here's the situation. Bitcoin sucks. It is objectively bad at everything that it does. Yeah, people are going to trade it because people are stupid. Probably continues to go up because people are stupid. But you know what? A central bank digital currency is going to come along, and as much as it probably makes us cringe that we're giving the government that much power and everything, it's going to be better than Bitcoin. And all of these cool things that everybody's been talking about for the last 16 years or whatever, and they never do it in Bitcoin, they're going to build it on a central bank digital currency, and everybody's going to go, oh yeah, that Bitcoin sucks. And then here's the other problem, is that the only reason that Bitcoin has ever been up is because of freaking Tether. They have been printing money that does not exist since 2016. Since 2016. That means that the last 2 cycles in Bitcoin have been premised entirely on fraud. And the government is catching on to this and is saying, we're not going to let these tethers do this anymore. If you're going to be a stable coin, sure, you can be a stable coin, but you're going to have to follow rules, right? Then what's going to happen? How is Bitcoin going to continue to go up when you have literally billions of dollars in the ecosystem that are fake? Sort that one out. So yeah, will it never go away? I'm sure. I'm sure that 100 years from now, that there will be a few nerds in their basement that still think that it's going to take over the world. I know it's already been 100 years, but hey, the dollar, it's been around for a few hundred years. It takes us time to grow our ecosystem and stuff, but someday we'll have our day. Maybe my grandchildren. Okay, have fun. I think that it sucks. I think that it's bad for society. It could have been a good thing. But they screwed it up. Anyways, the stuff that I saw in the hearing, I didn't see anything like in the testimony that I thought was game changing or anything like that. It was like, hey, yeah, this guy is saying what we want him to say, and they're cheerleading, but I don't see how it changes the fundamental situation. Here's the thing, Bitcoin should come in and be treated like other assets, right? And the problem is that when you start treating these things like other assets, they're not going to hold up to the scrutiny, right? Most of these coin ICOs, they're not. They're not going to be able to handle the disclosures and everything required. No way. More millionaires and billionaires will be created, sure, but the number of millionaires and billionaires will be outweighed by orders of magnitude by people that lost everything from it. and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see, after central bank digital currencies come out, if they start to put significant restrictions on these things, because it is a lot of power. At some point, it's going to become a national issue, right? It's kind of already on the verge of being that. We've kind of been lucky this year because the winter has been mild and everything. But, what happens when we get into a serious energy crisis, which kind of seems like is looming on the horizon, and you got all of these people leeching off of the grid for Bitcoin? That's not gonna stand, right? And especially since everybody's so concerned about global warming and everything, how can you justify Bitcoin? This just this tremendous waste of energy. And do you know why? Blah, 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 blah. I'm sure that you'll probably try and give a reason that doesn't matter. Okay, these treasuries coming back pretty hard now. Got as high as 1.513. Well, I kind of do. One of the problems is that around 1.5 is not bad, right? Okay, you know why. Good for you. Seriously, dude, when you type something like that, I'm not sure what's going through your head. Like, did you think that you were going to say that and be like, oh, wait, Gary knows a reason why Bitcoin is going to succeed? How can he know that? I need to know that too. I'm at the edge of my seat, guys. You got to tell me. You got to tell me now. Please, please, please. No, fuck you. Seriously. If you have a point, then just make the fucking point. Jeez. Not to be an asshole about it, but come on. I just think it's funny. Hey, coming all the way back here in treasuries. Look at that. Well, you know what? It is an auction day. We got to remember that. And hey, there was this move down in the treasuries was attended by a meta order selling, both in the 30 and the 10. Now, the 10 and the 5 are coming up a little bit harder. A little bit harder. And I would say it's pretty even. But do you think that they can that we can get some fills at 15 now again if we put them out? They'll buy carbon credits to offset. That's your answer? Are you kidding me? Dude, here's the thing. Doesn't matter if they buy carbon credits. It's carbon going into the atmosphere that doesn't need to be there. It's energy that could be used for something else. In a time when when the energy is at a premium, you really think that the government is going to let them continue to sit there and use a whole country's worth of energy every year for freaking hashing when you can do the same thing a billion times more efficiently? I'm sorry, it's just not gonna hold. At some point, the political pressures are gonna be too much. Was this the same thing in freaking El Salvador? That everyone's like, yep, they're gonna buy it, and El Salvador's gonna become so rich and everything. The people there don't care. They hate it, frankly. And I think that these people have all of these bizarre. Listen, carbon credits are stupid, anyways. Like, I'm not. Yeah, exactly. PM. Carbon credits are a sham. Okay, it doesn't really solve the problem. It just creates an artificial market. I'm not a huge fan of carbon credits. Maybe it happens. I'm sure that the GOP will fight over carbon credits pretty hard, though. And it still doesn't change that. Like, it's one thing. You're an oil company. You're generating carbon, so we need to tax that. And that's the whole idea, is that, we can put a tax on people when a company is doing something that makes everybody else incur a cost. Okay. So you make the Bitcoin miners pay a carbon tax. Okay. Maybe it makes mining unprofitable. We need to move somewhere where electricity is cheaper, maybe. But really what it's going to come down to is that municipalities aren't going to want the miners there, and they're going to kick them out, just like China did. It went long when I hit the bet view one. Well, we definitely turned around on long on the treasury, right? It's kind of a little technical. Like, I'm not really seeing the volume as it does it, but the liquidity has been pretty questionable here today anyways, right? And I think that a lot of this is just like post meta order regime change too, right? So I'm wondering now, okay, so can they go and bust these highs now? It's possible, but I'm not really seeing anything that really gives me a good idea that whether it can or can't. There's a pretty big order sitting there at 15, so that's interesting. In the short term, though, Bitcoin still not doing so hot today, and Ethereum getting hit pretty hard too. But the metaverse, oh man, this whole thing of Mark Zuckerberg like throwing the whole company behind the metaverse, this is something where I'm either going to be really prescient or I'm going to look like an idiot in a few years. But I think that Facebook going all in on the metaverse is a stupid decision. I don't think that the technology is anywhere close to a place where it will generate the kind of revenue that a company like Facebook would need. It's just... Carbon credits smell like an ivory tower intellectual idea not applicable in the real world. Yeah, like I really don't care how much Bitcoin miners are paying in carbon tax credits when the power is going out because there's not enough power in the area. Right? Mark needs to resign, frankly. Well, I don't know how you sell investors on that one, but it feels kind of crazy, doesn't he? It feels like, here's the thing that everybody makes fun of Mark Zuckerberg. They say that he's a robot and things like that. Yeah, he's a nerd, man. This is just the same, the jocks making fun of the nerdy kid in high school, and then he goes on to go and make Facebook, and then he's still the same, and so they still make fun of him the same way. But that kind of a person will also tend to get ideas and get like really excited about an idea, and it's not actually a good idea, right? Cool. MicroStrategy is purchased. Yeah, they keep buying them. I'm not. So why are you so hateful with new technology that will solve problems for the future? Because it doesn't. You guys realize how old Bitcoin is? It came out in 2009. Let's say that it was 2010. Okay. So that's like 13 years that Bitcoin has been around. And guess what? And I mean, Ethereum was like a year or two after that, right? So there is not very much that you can do in Bitcoin today that you couldn't have done 10 years ago, okay? Where are all of these game-changing things, this groundbreaking technology that's going to completely transform our lives? There's all of these use cases. Hey, you could use Bitcoin to do this, and you could use Bitcoin to do this. It's been 10 years. Why didn't you do it? I'll tell you why you didn't do it. Because it sucks. It can't actually do it because it's crippled technology that is so inefficient that it literally is incapable of being used for the purpose that it was built for. And so they intentionally tried to change the whole thing into a store of value, and it sucks at that too. It's just people haven't figured it out yet. It's not technology that solves problems. You know what's going to solve problems is central bank digital currency is going to come along. And then maybe we can actually use the currency and do all these things that people are talking about. That's what makes me mad about it. Bitcoin could have been a good thing, but you guys all fucked it up because you're stupid. You let Blockstream take it over. You assumed that the market was the solution to everything when markets are really very inefficient. The nerds run tech, but the cheerleaders and jocks are running the public schools. Maybe. I'm going to make the video. I just don't know how. I want to have a funny intro that catches people's interest. But probably just the fact that I'm going to have like a big title and thumbnail that says Bitcoin sucks monkey balls. That's probably should be enough, right? Blockchain. Yeah, I mean, the thing that's really funny about blockchain is that it's a useful technology. There's like real uses. Anywhere that you have a ledger and that's shared between multiple parties, the blockchain could be useful. But the thing that's funny is like the people that have the most use for a ledger like that are like exchanges and banks. Okay, so you want to make money off of it. How do you make money off of it when it's something that you have to sell to exchanges and banks, and they're always going to make their own? Okay, Goldman Sachs, they always make their own, man. Then you can't. You have to turn around and you have to try and hawk it to the unsuspecting masses instead. That's what's going on. CBDCs are just a means for transfer payments, yeah. And when you can actually transfer it, I don't see why anybody's going to want to use a Bitcoin anymore. At that point, bald man screams at Bitcoin. At that point, though, it's just a speculative investment. I mean, it practically already is that. It's just that people still maintain this illusion that it's going to be this groundbreaking technology. And the reason why it's able to lure in so many stupid people is because, you know, it has that allure of technology. Like these people, they don't understand the technology. Here's what they understand. Technology is an important thing, and sometimes you get left behind in technology, and you don't want to be left behind in technology. You want to be on the cutting edge so that you can be on the edge of the next thing, just like with the internet. If you were on the edge of the internet, then you made a ton of money and now you're rich. So I want to be on the edge of the new thing, which is Bitcoin. It's just that since they don't understand the technology, they don't realize that it's never going to do that because it sucks. It literally can't do any of those things that everybody talks about, right? But they don't know that. But if a central bank digital currency comes along and does all of that stuff and we're all using that, then they're going to go and look at Bitcoin and they're going to go, oh, Bitcoin's old news. And how does that affect Bitcoin at that point? Or rather, the question is, how much of the interest in Bitcoin comes from the technology, and how much of the interest in Bitcoin comes from the a currency being removed from the Federal Reserve? And I personally believe that a lot more of it is based off of the technology, and that without the technology, they have a really big problem. Yeah, stocks represent actual slices of companies. It's like saying the V10 engine will change the world. It takes time with crypto. It's been 12 years, dude! Fuck. Doesn't take. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm a software programmer. I know how this shit works. It doesn't take a decade to make these applications, dude. The reason they didn't do it is because they can't. It doesn't work. It's not funny when I yell, is it? I probably just destroyed everybody's ears. My wife's probably upstairs trying to sleep. Like, what the hell is he going on? They didn't sleep very well yesterday. Oh man, they took the baby to when they went to go and get dinner. They took the baby in the car, and the baby fell asleep in the car. So he went to bed early, and then he only slept for like an hour and woke back up and wanted to play. So I don't think he actually went to sleep until like midnight. I'm looking forward to the digital dollar, though. I am. Like it is. Don't you feel kind of dirty about it though, Dave? Because I feel kind of dirty about it. I'm kind of like, there's so many people out there that are conspiracy theorying about it, the digital dollar. Let's call it a digital dollar, right? There's so many people out there conspiracy spreading fear about a digital dollar. I'm not quite sure I necessarily see where having a digital dollar creates any more problems than we already have with the government being in charge of the currency. So, like, I don't know, but I still feel dirty about it. I still feel like it's not necessarily like the ideal thing, right? But I really think it's kind of inevitable. The digital dollar is going to come out. Everybody's going to use that. If it has smart contract capabilities, then everybody's just going to build their applications off of that digital dollar. And you will see pretty quickly, because it's run by the government and everything else like that, any of these applications. So, like, I think one that is kind of you'd think would be interesting, or you would think that people have done, but probably doesn't work very well, is like buying tickets, right? You could go and you could mint a bunch of NFTs, and then owning the NFT gets you into the concert, right? And then artists could sell their own tickets, essentially, and you could get rid of Ticketmaster. So why haven't they done that yet? I mean, the technology is all there, like the ability is all there. I'm sure that somebody probably built a coin or something that was kind of based off of it, right? This is just the problem, is just that, like, the way that the market is structured and the way that Bitcoin works and everything, none of those applications are really practical, right? You get a central bank digital currency, it comes along and it's cheap and efficient and easy to use. Then any of those use cases that actually work, they'll actually do it. And again, it's going to be like, wow, was only a few months and they started making all of this stuff on the digital dollar. Why did it take Bitcoin 10 years to do it? Well, the answer is because Bitcoin sucks. You can't use it for anything. It's too expensive to use. It's too inefficient to use. See, they coming downstairs. I probably woke somebody up. So raise your hand if I broke your eardrums. Was the yelling too much? Yelling too much? And again, I don't just hate on it just for the sake of hating on it, man. It's more like disappointment. It's like, okay, here's an interesting kind of experiment. I don't think that it's going to work, but here's an interesting experiment. And the Bitcoin experiment has turned out so much worse than I ever anticipated. Like I thought it was going to be like, yeah, this is going to be like this bubble machine. It's going to be mess and it'll probably be funny to watch. But instead, what I see is like grift and fraud and rampant criminal behavior and just an absolute mess and a horde of clueless people following it that have absolutely no clue what's going on. And it's so harmful to society at this point, I think, and that's why I don't like it. But it's more disappointment than it is like hate, right? Because I'm a tech guy. I remember the Reddit thread where Bitcoin was like became a thing. I've been like on that Bitcoin subreddit from day one, like just kind of watching them see what. I never like hodled into it because didn't want to take the risk, but. Well, I mean, I traded it. I made money from it, but I never like hodled it. Hey, maybe I should have, but at the time, I didn't really understand what was enough to even be making those kinds of decisions. And it's a good thing that I didn't too, right? If I had that day, think about it, man. If I had that day gone and mined a couple hundred Bitcoin and I was a billionaire now, then I wouldn't actually know what I know about markets. I would think that I'm a genius at that point and I know everything, and I would never actually learn the more nuanced and significant things about markets that we understand today. So it's a good thing. Yes, I do feel dirty, like I can't believe I went for that. I don't necessarily like being the government shill, but I mean, come on, man. They're going to do it better. If you know anything about the technology and anything about how this works, you know that when the government puts their coin out, it's going to be better. Frankly, the Chinese one that they have out there is better than Bitcoin. It's just that like the Chinese can kill it at any time. They have a bunch of other things in there that nobody wants anything to do with, but otherwise it would probably be really strong. It was a missed opportunity. There you go. That's really what it was. It was a missed opportunity. And well, it's kind of funny because on one hand, it's a missed opportunity because the thing that I think that it'd actually really be good for is transactions. You can't use it for transactions, okay? But then on the other side, they're trying to find a use case for it. It's a solution looking for a problem. It's kind of funny how that works. Futures Trader 71 says you have been warned about how choppy this is likely to be today. Well, the S&P 500 has been pretty meh. So that CPI tomorrow is just too big of a deal, I guess. Now, the treasuries are still trading a good range today, right? I did get a fill. I got a deal. I'll take one of them off. I'll go back to only one contract. It doesn't take that long to do all this stuff. Like that's like the thing that's funny about it with Bitcoin is that all of these other, like there are problems with Bitcoin, right? Like there are problems with how the transaction throughput, with the energy usage, etc., 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 etc. Okay. Other coins have come out and solved every single one of those problems. There's coins that solve all of those problems. Like what was it? Solara is a pretty big change in that respect, for instance, right? Okay, Bitcoin could today go and change all of their code and implement all of those things, and they could do that within a year. They don't do it. Like the incentive in Bitcoin at this point is to keep Bitcoin crippled. It is. Maybe when Ethereum overtakes them, things will change. And then Ethereum is probably likely to get taken out too. Actually, Ethereum is a really good example of why this happens as well, because Ethereum, their whole thing is proof of stake, right? And they keep saying that they're going to move to proof of stake, and then it never happens. It's like once the coin gets in there, it's like it's hard to change it because of the power structure that comes around, not because it's difficult to do technologically. Okay, who cares, Gary? You know what you sound like to me when you say those sorts of things is like that kid with Asperger's in school that like you just like when you say that sort of a thing, what is the effect? What do you expect people to think? Seth, do you know there are 116 categories in crypto? Well, I do. Okay, bro. Okay. I feel like such an asshole today, but come on, man. What else? How else? What else do you expect me to do when you say stuff like that? I've been too loud. I woke the baby up. Hi, baby. Seth, do you know how many beans I have in my pocket? Because Gary knows. Oh, man. Okay. It still doesn't matter. Guess what? There are a lot of people with a lot of money that have put it into really dumb things. You know that? You ever seen, what is this guy, Simon Chamath? He made a bunch of money off of Bitcoin. That guy is smart. He knows his shit. I mean, it's different stuff from what I know, right? Because he knows more like venture capital and like investing in companies like before they go public and stuff like that. He knows a lot. He's a really smart guy. But you know, there's also a lot of people out there that are like, I hear that Bitcoin is the future, and they don't know jack squat about it. Right? Yeah, Tulip Mania. Look it up. Yeah. See, this is the fundamental problem with Bitcoin, I think. Like when you get to the heart of it, with, you know, okay, Bitcoin was an experiment. It's not very good right now. It is essentially, in my opinion, a failed project in the respect of making a what was in the white paper, okay, a currency that, you know, a decentralized currency. It's failed at being a decentralized currency. Okay, why? At the heart of it, it's because Bitcoin was a radical acceptance of the efficient market hypothesis, and the efficient market hypothesis is false. Markets are not efficient. They're more efficient than government allocation of capital, but they are not efficient. So, yeah, you're going to see people put tons of money into things that don't work out. Happens all the time. I mean, somebody bought the treasuries last week. They're probably feeling pretty dumb yesterday when it crashed down, but hey, they did what they did. Gensler suggests requiring more complete disclosures at the time of SPAC mergers. Sure. There's a lot of these things with the laws and stuff that I'm like, why wasn't it that way to begin with? Well, whatever. The Great Sardine Resell. I've never heard of that. Okay, well, look that up later. We got about 40 minutes left. I mean, the treasuries are moving. The thing I'm noticing here, though, is like there was a sell in the 5-year, and then I think there was a little bit of an iceberg buy right there. I missed it, but there must have been, because there was a pretty big push back up when it came back up above 27. So, but the liquidity is still pretty iffy, right? Like they came all the way back up there and then no volume and it came back down. So it's just selling. It's like Live Action says, did you really call me dumb? I'm just, whoever it is, it's a venture capital putting a lot of money in it. They could be doing it for lots of different reasons too, right? This doesn't mean that they're dumb. I just think that it's a poor argument for like Bitcoin is the future, right? That's like, that's confirmation bias sort of seeking sort of stuff. It's like, well, because I can't make an argument on Bitcoin based on the actual functionality of it, I'm going to appeal to authority, essentially, right? It's not a very strong argument. I think that a strong argument here is it's not very efficient. It doesn't handle very many transactions. It's a tremendous waste of energy. It enables fraud. It takes away control of the currency from the government, which isn't a good thing. And the central bank digital currency is going to come out and is going to fix all of those problems. How is Bitcoin going to compete? Whereas, so there's an argument, and then you could come in and you could say, well, the reason that Bitcoin is going to be able to compete against the central bank digital currency is because people are tired of the government being in charge of the currency and inflating our money supply. So what is what I think that the Bitcoin advocates would say. And how would you prove that? That's a really interesting theory. I don't think it's right, but how would you prove that? But then that would be an actual argument, right? It just crashed to 1 million per coin. Well, here's the thing, Eric Ages. Based on what we know, if it was not for Tether, the 2016, 2017 rise would never have happened. Bitcoin would probably still be below, I'm dead serious. If it was not for Tether and other stable coins printing money essentially and creating leverage in the Bitcoin market, Bitcoin possibly would not even be above its Mt. Gox high. So here, it's one of the strongest arguments in Bitcoin. You made a good argument there, right? The good argument is, yes, but Bitcoin continues to appreciate in price. Well, we know why it's appreciating in price, and it's because of fraud. And when the regulators catch up to them and they're no longer able to completely manipulate the markets with that fraud, is Bitcoin going to be able to hold these prices? I think not. And I think that what we're seeing right now may be it already starting. Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised. The F word, fraud, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin has another little run in it this year. But if they're not able to do that here in December, then things could start to get really ugly. Because right now, I understand, right now, all these people are invested in it. The regulators, they don't want to do anything. The regulators don't want to come in and be like blamed for, oh, you guys killed Bitcoin. You're the reason why Bitcoin never took off, right? They want it to be able to live or die on its own merits, right? But if Bitcoin were to crash here, that all goes away, right? Now all of a sudden it's, you guys knew that this fraud was going on and you didn't do anything and you didn't protect us from it, right? That turns on its head very quickly, doesn't it? The stock to flow model with Metcalfe's law says it will keep increasing. I think that the stock to flow model has already pretty much been invalidated here. According to the stock to flow model, we should already be above 100,000. The stock to flow model has very serious flaws in it. And I really, that was one of the big, that's where again, I'm saying like things have changed. All of these people on TikTok and like nobody's taking them seriously anymore. I see a lot of skepticism about the stock to flow model now. There was a thread on Reddit, the programmers Reddit about Bitcoin, where pretty much everybody in the thread was trashing on it. Like, it's popular on Reddit now. Outside of the Bitcoin subreddits, it is popular to trash on Bitcoin. Anything I say he hates? Well, listen, if you're just gonna make a bunch of bad arguments, and what am I supposed to do? Stop being wrong about things. That's weird. Sounds bullish to me to buy when everyone else is trashing. Well, like I said, the stable coins were all pumping, were all printing out on this dip, right? So, and the way that dip over the weekend happened, because if you're a big guy and you're just getting out, you don't do it on the weekend when nobody's paying attention, right? That was an ignition event. So you should expect Bitcoin to bounce back up and try and push its all-time highs again. And you would expect it to happen within a month. If it doesn't happen within a month, then I say that there's a more serious problem, especially if you get all of these guys, Michael Saylor and El Salvador and all these guys, they buy the dip aggressively and then they get buried again. Then you start to run into real serious problems because, there's again, the Bitcoin market is being propped up by margin. There are some people in the Bitcoin market that are using insane amounts of margin so that they can hold like as big of a stop as they want. But, once Michael Saylor starts, if it's a big if, it really is. If Michael Saylor starts losing money on his Bitcoin investment, how long are investors going to put up with that one? Right? And if he defaulted on that one, that would be pretty crazy ugly, right? So that's why I say they're kind of in a precarious situation. Bitcoin basically has to moon here to survive. But I do think that's the most likely scenario, at the moment at least. I kind of thought that they would already be higher. Like that we're still chilling here around let's see, right now 48235. Like it's going down again. Like it's possible that they breach new lows today again, and that would be like, wow, that would be a big surprise to me. Okay, so the treasury's back up to 15. I think that the chances are that Bitcoin will make an attempt at the all-time highs within the month. But that's a high risk proposition that I am not willing to take a actual trade position on. Okay, because if it doesn't happen, if today or tomorrow Bitcoin breached new local lows, it could be so devastating. Like, I don't think that people realize how devastating it could be. Because if Bitcoin were to completely deflate, they would be back at like 12K. Let me guess, Shiba is going to 1. Oh my gosh, that whole thing is crazy. I've seen a lot of videos on like TikTok and other places of people pointing like they had $1,000 in Shiba and they'd be like worth $100 billion now or something. You have 3K in Ethereum 2.0. That's not bad. In 2017, I sold pretty much my whole crypto portfolio, right? And it was very much the right decision, but I probably should have kept the Ethereum. That was one that I could have sat at the time and said, yeah, well, Ethereum we know is going to be a good one to stay into for a long time. But, I thought that it would have given me a good buy location before now, and they just always kind of remained elevated higher than they should have been. So E-mini decided to take a little dive there. I don't know if that's too big of a deal, but they are down towards the lows. And the treasury's falling a little bit because of it. Well, we shouldn't bash on Gary too much because he's probably going to make money from his crypto investments. He's probably already has. It's just the problem is just that the people in the Bitcoin ecosystem aren't able to acknowledge the problems. Like, this is part of why it sucks so much. Is like, if people in Bitcoin had been listening to people like me 8 years ago, then Bitcoin could be like everything right now. But they didn't want to do that. They were greedy instead. They were more concerned about consolidating the power that they had already gained. This Bitfinex account has been awfully active the past few days. He must just be on vacation. I don't know. Oh, I remember the EOS thing now. Oh my gosh, yes. Do you guys remember EOS? We watched that when that whole thing when there was like a big change. I made money off of that, I think. I made money off of that. I don't remember. I remember watching it. I don't know if I had taken a position or not. But my vague recollection is that I bought it, got out before it listed, or they merged, or whatever it was that they were going to do. And then it turned out to be like a huge fraud. Okay, so, there we go. I got filled on both of those very quickly. Okay, so there's some pretty big trades up here at 17. And they just, I've never seen that before in the treasury. Do you see the cumulative delta there? Down and then a big curve and whoop. I don't think I've ever seen that in the 10-year before. Wow. I still think that what we see in the treasuries today could be because of the bond auction. Like maybe the bonds really spike on it. But then we would have a good opportunity to try and catch it the other way or whatever. CPI, I don't pay attention to the yearly print. Everybody likes to look at the yearly print because it sounds worse. Right? Core CPI, spot 7. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think CPI tomorrow will be spot 8 month over month. Well, we'll see how this turns out, because that was a decent amount of volume that could really hamper and cause them to bounce, but we'll see. The liquidity overall has increased. We're putting 3,000s up now, but it's been like that for a while now, so. And I probably part of this is because the S&P 500 went down to its lows. S&P 500 still looks like it's just having a chop day, so. Options expiry too soon? Yeah, next week. That's a good point. But shouldn't the options expiry be pushing us up to 4,700? Because I'm almost certain that's where all of the gamma would be, right? Where is meta order in ZN? Well, I think that this move right here, let's clear this a little bit and zoom in a little bit. And we get it real clear. This thing right here was somebody executing a meta order. It's pretty persistent selling that they tried to be sneaky about, and I think that they did a pretty good job on. This right here was post meta order impact. Okay, that means they were done executing their order and they just kind of slipped back into the wake that move had left behind them. Okay. From there, this thing right here appears, at the moment at least, to be a risk-off move because of the S&P 500 falling to its lows. Spot 8, what are you smoking? Yeah. Last month, it was spot 9, and the analyst expectation is spot 7. Well, I'm thinking about dumping this, to be honest with you. Because when it's acting like this and we got a bond auction today, I don't want there to be like this huge spike up sort of a thing like we had the last time we got a trade like this. So we'll hold that. Probably what I'm going to end up doing is waiting until after the 30-year auction and then maybe getting back in. Or maybe not. Maybe you can't do this now. I don't know. I gave up a lot of profits there, though, didn't I? I probably should have, when it came back to 50, gotten out. They really moved up a lot overnight. They who? I'm still thinking here through it, like thinking what are the chances that they bounce back off of here. I'm not sure if I care right now, though. It seems like I was like, well, I don't know. When I took that trade, I'm thinking I would really like to hold this until next week. Now this move, all of a sudden I feel differently. Why is that? Because of the auction. Because I know when bonds go bullish on an auction day, it's usually not. You usually don't want to fade that, right? So then I'm thinking, well, I could try getting back in before the CPI. Well, I could try taking a risk on the CPI with a contract, but at that point I should just get in like just before or whatever. Probably some of this is stops. People like me that didn't like what happened there. I mean, I still made money on the trade, but it just wasn't nearly, probably could have made 3 times as much as I did. I guess we're still in a key. There is that good stack at 15.5. Yeah, sorry you missed the crypto discussion. Maybe you're sorry, maybe you're not. I mean, you can always rewind it, but you know what's going to happen? So I'm going to make a video. Maybe it's not going to be funny, but I'm thinking I could put a video out on Monday about how Bitcoin sucks. And then every crypto sycophant on YouTube will come and spam my video. And you can argue with them there. You think we might bid here in ES? I think so too. At least I don't see. Well, I don't know, that move, that there was some selling in that move. That's kind of weird. I think that the gamma is going to push us back to, sorry, 4,700. I think that the gamma will eventually push us back to 4,700. Could get a lot of hits, yeah. Could also make me a target. It could make people hate me, but I want to do it because, like, I feel like that the time is appropriate. Now that was curious. Did you see somebody really hit into the 10-year there in the micros? Well, when I like it to get out of a trade and then I immediately want to get back into one, that's usually not a good thing. So I probably am going to just sit on my hands for a bit. Be sure to mention Shiba Inu. Do I have anything in there? I have 5 problems with it. But see, my problems are energy use, poor transaction throughput, deflationary nature, criminal activity, and lack of government support. Probably the bubble bit needs to be in there somewhere too, but I'm not sure where I put it. But I do talk about that, but I don't mention it directly. But in the video, in my script so far, I was saying that, you know, because Elon Musk started tweeting about meme coins, everybody got involved all of a sudden. And after that happened, I've noticed that the sentiment has changed, and especially among the technology people now, it's cool to actually not like Bitcoin. Did I? I'm confused. I was like, did I get out of... I thought I had a contract at 15. See that right there? 48, 46 at 16. That doesn't jive with me. Shouldn't be somebody willing to pick it up there and somebody willing to sell into it that much. Elon is irresponsible. Well, on a lot of this stuff, this is where I kind of feel like, you know, if people understood the true nature of markets, they would probably behave differently. If people realized how much inefficiency there actually was in markets, they would treat them a little bit differently. They would come in, I think that they would come in and say, yeah, I can make money off of certain things, but I need to do the thing where it's going to make the most use. Especially somebody like Elon Musk. Elon Musk should be coming out and saying, well, maybe he is saying I should direct money to where it's going to be the most useful, and maybe a decentralized currency is something that he thinks would have a lot of use, right? It's just like Doge. Come on. But I think that still kind of comes down to this, well, the market will figure it out sort of opinion. And I don't believe that, because this is just not jive with the empirical evidence of what we have about markets, that they'll figure it out. what we know about markets is kind of suggests that they'll screw it up. At least in terms of developing a project, right? Right? Why Dodge was like he was trying to manipulate it? I don't know. I wonder if he's just like a little impulsive or something. So he's tweeted a ton of things that he shouldn't have, really, right? So I'm wondering also, no, I'm going to say no. I was thinking, should we be concerned about the treasuries popping back up here as the S&P 500 turned risk off? And I think that the degree of the move and everything, I'm going to say probably not. Now, a lot of volume traded up here. So that is kind of hard for me to sort out. Yeah, I think one of the things going through my head is like last Friday I got screwed. So I'm kind of a little worried about trying to play the CPI tomorrow. And I'm wondering if maybe I shouldn't touch it. Maybe I should sit on the sidelines. Okay. Well, I took two. If I got 250 off of it, that'd be amazing. But I don't. For me to catch 130 again, I should be just buying this right here in the micros, right? Dave says use caution. Yeah, well, I mean, a pretty big, like there was at one point that I was up almost 120, right? And I think I only took like $40 off of that. So, right, I took a loser. I took, let's just say, took a $20 loser here on today and then scratched it. So that would sort out to be 80. Yeah, it's fine. But that was. It was basically like the trade did not quite work out the way that I wanted it to, probably because of the freaking auction again. So that's what happened to me last time, right? Was the auction bonds just totally skyrocketed because of the auction, and then ever after that was when they crashed hard. And that time I took like a huge loss on it. This time I'm like, okay, let's stay out of that. Hope for a CPI beat. The other thing is I feel like that the CPI is becoming such a big data point that the trade that we get off of it might be really dumb. Let's say it like that. We're going to get a ton of volatile action there that isn't going to make much sense at first, is what I think is going to happen. And so for me, I'm going to have to take a big trade with like really big risk on it. And even then they might stop out and go the right way, right? So, and there it's like, okay, so what if the CPI is good? So again, the expectation is spot 7, right? Let me come back here, double check. Yeah. The month over month CPI, not the core, but the CPI is spot 7. So what if it comes out at spot 6? Is that going to be like a relief rally in treasuries? I don't think so. Because spot 6 is still pretty bad. You know what I mean? It would have to be like low. It would have to be like spot 4 for me to be like, wow, treasuries really need to rally here because the Federal Reserve might have to rethink their plans because of that print, right? So it's kind of a crazy thing. Whereas on the split side, if it ends up being spot 8, which is slightly more, does that mean that the Federal Reserve needs to be even more? You get what I mean? Like the CPI number is going to have to be significantly different from what the median expectation is in order for it to really change what the trajectory of the Federal Reserve is going to be. Spot 7. Where do you guys look at? Look here. Friday, December 10th, 6:30, CPI month over month, 0.7% expected. You guys not looking at the same numbers? Or maybe what you're doing is you're looking at the year over year number. And if you're looking at the year over year number, you should stop looking at it because it doesn't matter. VIX dropped 12 handles quickly. Well, like treasuries are still down there at their lows, even though the 10-year came back a little bit. So I tell you what, I'll put this one at 125. Biden saying CPI won't reflect the big drop in it. Well, we could look at the core CPI, right? The core CPI is expected to be spot 5 versus spot 6. So, of course, CPI was higher than expected. Could you talk more about the bank you worked at? What more could I say? That's about time that we're going to get going soon, so I probably shouldn't start on some big long story. I worked there. I learned a lot of things. I'm nothing special because of it. I'm just a guy that likes to stream, and you're just a bunch of guys that happen to find me, and I appreciate it. Even though I yell at you, I still appreciate that you guys are watching. There you go. Month over month is expected at spot 7. There you go. We should. You brought up a good point there, though. That because oil declined a ton here, the actual headline CPI number probably doesn't matter as much as the core CPI number. Because we could go in and have oil be like way higher than expected, and it doesn't matter because it just came back. I kind of feel like on that trade that I took, that even though I kind of feel like it was a failed trade and I still made money, I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, so was there a reason for me to just straight up taking my profits yesterday? I didn't think so. I think that the mistake that I made was that when it was going my way, I didn't push it harder. I should have made more on the way up, and then I would have given some of this. I would have given this up, yeah, but I would probably still be up like $100. I think that's what I should have done. Because here today, I'm not seeing any action that changes the bigger outlook that would stop me out of the trade. It's just rather that I no longer have enough baked in to take that kind of excessive risk that I feel was necessary for this CPI and Federal Reserve meeting. Now, what might happen is that the 30-year bond stops out, moves higher, and then after that we could go short. Or, go long rates. Maybe. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. Yeah. Bipartisan group of 8 Congress members, including 6 from Texas, warns President Biden not to halt U.S. oil exports, says letter. Okay. The Widowmaker trade in natural gas. Do you know, I keep hearing that one get mentioned in passing on Zero Hedge. But when you come back and you look at natural gas, man, where is it? NG. Man, that move that happened there after November from $5 to $4, so basically a 20% decline, and you take that on margin, man. Whoever it was that lost money there hates life right now, man. That's like somebody's thinking about rope right now from that trade in natural gas. Because there were some people that were really levered up on that thing, right? Like it wasn't just that they lost money, they were levered up. Okay, guys, well, I should get going, right? I liked your title earlier where you said Bald Man Yells at Bitcoin. Bald Man Yells at Bitcoin. Gary says it's the March-April contract called the Widowmaker trade. Oh, I see. Yes, because that's when like the season changes. That's interesting. Go make some money. Hey, well, we made a little bit today. We made money, but we kind of lost the money that we made. It's fine. Actually, it's not fine. I don't know how to work it out, how to sort it out. I think one of the problems that I have is that I think I can pretty well determine direction and stuff right now, but the metrics that we have don't tell us very much about how far it should go and at what point we should really think about taking it off. Maybe we can try to rely on some technicals for that, but every time I've ever tried to do this sort of thing, it doesn't work out. So, but I'll have plenty of time to investigate it over the Christmas break, and maybe the machine learning stuff will help us with that one. Anyways, guys. Oh, did we get chat revenue? Wait, what? Who donated? Oh, it just happened. Dave just gave it to us. Hey, it showed up on the thing before it showed up in chat. Dave, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I hope that you guys were entertained with arguing with me. I don't want it to be like when we argue that like, yeah, you're just hate watching me, but I do love arguing. Hey, stay profitable, friends.